All right. We are going to Anambra State where we're starting our conversation. The conversation that couldn't hold yesterday. I have Dr. Dennis Ekemezie on the line. Good afternoon, Dennis.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Dennis Ekemezie.
Yes. You didn't tell us, but you are the Chief Research Fellow and Analyst, Universal Center for Community Dialogue and Citizens. Now, Dennis, yesterday the network was very unfriendly. I'm glad we can have this conversation today.
Yes.
I was told that politics in Anambra is more of the more you look, the less you see. And that while other people in different states in the Federation talk about stakeholders as those who either are in a party or who are one of those who you talk to before an election or during an election. In Anambra, you talk to two different groups. You talk to the stakeholders, you talk to the structure owners. I need to get a definition from you.
Well, it is not semantics. I think it's the application of knowledge and experience.
Okay.
When you talk of stakeholders, it implies generality of the electorate and the non-electorate and politicians and political office holders. Everybody inclusive. And when you talk of structure, there are people who own such existence of political parties. It belongs to political parties, owners of political parties. And in clear definition, it becomes those financiers of respective structures they have created, respective community, let me use the word communities of people, more importantly, of political office holders and politicians. That is, when you talk of, in terms of America, you talk of political demagogues and the political elites and the ordinary political people. So you can now see the difference. The political generality of stakeholders could be anybody, including both the religious and the community leaders and every other thing. But when you come to structure, there are people who have already financed the existing structure, the existing political party, for their own particular personal interest. Then it becomes mercantile politics or merchandization of politics. You can now see the difference. So it is done because of a political purpose, to gain political influence and then political investment to reap profit. I think it's clear.
Very, very clear. Your definition is apt and up to the point. Yes. Now, I need to understand this. So, I decide to have a political structure, waiting to enjoy the benefits anytime there is an announcement that political campaigns can begin. I begin just looking at the other part of your terminology, mercantile benefit. I begin to look for who the politicians that can pay my bills to take over the structure. But come to think of it, does that in any way, how can that actually benefit the people?
Yes, it will benefit the people, and let's get it clear now. It will benefit the people when you think of investment on the side of the investor, and then the investment on the side of ordinary people who will now vote by. That's where the issue of vote by comes in. Because you have to sell your goods to the mercantile, the political demagogue, who now buys their food and buys their legitimacy to go to the house or to go be a governor, and then start to appropriate powers and appointments of powers for their own personal benefit. Because they have already settled you by the vote they have bought. You can see clearly now that there is an element of dislodgement of electorate from the clear-cut democratic political process, because they have sold that is a clear indication.
Yes, it's a clear indication, but we don't want to talk about money politics, but it does appear as if money politics is what is dominating when we talk about politics in Anambra. Why is that so?
Well, it's not only in Anambra. Nigerian politics is dominated by merchandising and political investments. All over Nigeria. It is true. It's not only in Anambra, but the Anambra becomes clearer because it is appropriated by a very few majority of money packs. And that's why you say political structure, the structure on the ground. They have won it. They have lubricated it over time, waiting for election to come. And then when election comes, it becomes an investment for them, an opportunity for them to invest, and then for the opportunity for them to have their people elected, and then start to appropriating the powers. It happened. And it's not only in Anambra State, as I said earlier. It's a part of Nigerian politics, encouraged by the emergent political class who want to control power for their own benefit. And that's why you see development in Nigerian politics, development in terms of infrastructure development, it's neither there nor there, but because of the interest, what do we give you? The appropriation of power. And that's the way I'm seeing it.
Okay. Now, let's be a bit broad-minded, if we can, given the fact that the structure owner has all the structure and is going to provide that structure to his financial benefits. How do we now bring the needs of the people to play, given that election of a governor is supposed to be somebody who is sworn in at the end if he wins the election, and part of the constitution talks about the welfare of the people, and is to swear that he would uphold the constitution. How would the welfare of the people come to play when we are talking about money, money, money?
Well, as I said earlier, is at times by implication or application, winners take us. And even if the appointment of political office holders, they are going to give it to their own person, the person they trusted, the person that have worked for them. You know, in Anambra State, appropriation of political offices are based on what have you contributed to the political, either financing or political, what have you done in the political field. How were you able to assist the winner to win, or even at times the loser? And these are some of the things that when you bring them together, you will see that by implication, the elected office holders are not pushing for the welfare of the people. Rather, to recoup what they have invested in the business of politics. And that's what I said earlier. It becomes a mercantile politics where you invest and then you try to recoup. By the time you finish 4 years, you might have recouped what you have invested. And that's why they put the people they trusted that they'll be able to assist them to recoup. And that is going on. Recycling of recouping agents. So let me call it like that.
Is it not so? There's no possibility of having a reset button where we can say, okay, we've gone this way for so long and it's not bringing the dividends of democracy the way it should to the people. How do we turn it around so that the needs of the people become primarily what you go into elections for, to give the people?
I think if you have watched the trend going on in Nigeria, the issue of governance, and then the issue of pauperizing the people to be dependent on government palliatives, government support, government assistance, giving them rice, giving them money, whatever angle you want to see it. The people now become dependent on those political office holders, those that have acquired that political power by their structure, political structure, which they have gained by that investment. And what they do, no matter the way you call it the governance, no matter whether you see it as the welfare of the people, it's their palliative to appease, to settle. It us? Have you settled this community there for us? And these are some of the things. And it becomes inherent for now. It will take time for us to involve a real democratic setup where electorates have control of the political system or the electoral system. In the sense that, remember, in some cases, people are now afraid, would their votes count? As if we go further to discuss in Anambra State, for the emergence of some people in some other political parties, people are now fearing, would their votes count? Apart from, if you consider the ruling party, what has happened in other states, like Edo and some other states. Will it happen in Anambra State? That's the big question. I know you will come to that area. But I wanted to draw the attention so that you'll be able to know the recycling effect of that mercantile investment in politics.
Yes, we are going to also talk about that because if you look at the three standard bearers representing the ABGA, APC, and Labour, none of them is a new face, no new kid on the block. They are the same politicians that have been running from time to time before now. So it's not new. We'll still get to that. Just put that in one corner and remember we'll get to that. But what I'm saying is this. We were told that power belongs to the people. And if power belongs to the people, how come those who have told us power belongs to the people are now using money to take power away from the people and not giving the people what they promised they will give them? Because in every campaign before elections, people are being sweet-talked. We'll provide this, we'll do the other for you. How come after election, it becomes a matter of settlement?
Well, we are still evolving within the context of mercantile politics. If you are a businessman and wants to invest, you invest where you make profit. And remember that those people who are now holding important political positions in Nigerian politics are those people, money bags, who have acquired money either through government patronage or through their own personal investment or one or the other. If you examine them and evaluate them, you will see that most of them gained patronages from government. And their primitive accumulation of money was based on government interest. And then, if they do so and invest in politics, remember what I said earlier, that the policy of government, every government now, especially in Nigeria, is trying as much as possible, either using taxation or whatever, to pauperize the people, reduce them to beggars. And when they reduce them to beggars, they start to give them palliative, no matter which dimension you want it. Is it for rice? Is it for money? And this everything. And this is the way they will be able to control the machinery of power and then appeasing the people. And then people who have turned into beggary, what do you expect from them? They go to the highest person that will give them money or give them palliative or solve their problem. And that is it. Remaining the main essence of the constitutional right of every government, the constitutional provision, that the government substitutes to be of the welfare of the people. If government in Nigeria are for the people, why would insecurity increase? If government of Nigeria is for the people, I'm talking about government, local government everywhere, is for the people, why will this hardship escalate? Pursuing policies that are not for the benefit of the people, but for the enrichment of government and those in power of government. I think that's the clear indication, a clear direction where Nigerian politics is going today. So the more you acquire, the more you invest in politics, the more you acquire more. And then it becomes a cycle, as William noted.
And every time that the election cycle comes around, we look forward to a wind of change, a wind that can bring a breath of fresh air to the people. And at the end of the day, we end up going through this route that is not beneficial to the people. You're an analyst, and you've been looking at the data and the numbers. And if we say that money has taken over, then it does appear as if it's a lost cause. That's why I keep asking that question. Is there nothing we can do to give back the people the power? Yes, I agree with you that with the way the economy is presently, any form of palliative will be welcomed by the people.
I'm happy.
But when can we say it's time to put on the brakes and begin to make those we elected to become accountable? For how long?
Well, this question is put to me reminds me of the same question I put to a well-renowned Nigerian political economist, Esotoyo, when he came for a program as a political science student. I asked him, when will corruption stop in Nigeria? You know, the answer he gave me, corruption will stop in Nigeria when corruption has corrupted corruption. And it becomes applicable in this area. It is when the people whom you know that most of them have been deprived of getting higher education, better education, so that they will not be able to query them or question them or evaluate their activities. So they continue to release their intelligence, their knowledge and intelligence, so that they will not be able to know much what is going on. And that is the problem. If we continue, remember that during IBB set up MAMSA, Mass Mobilization, which is for economic development. And there was a time IBB himself told the MAMSA people, you have over-mobilized Nigeria. Please stop. Let us continue the other way. I hope you will remember that. And that's the problem. If the more you continue to enlighten the people to be aware, the more they will try to use a way to destroy them, not to get more information. And our people are lacking, because of somewhere said, my people perish because of lack of information. When you don't have information, what do you do? And the second point, when you are reduced to the level of begging, poverty, what do? You continue to beg, and then looking for somebody who will alleviate your suffering. It's not true. And these are some of the things. It will come when people have tried to own their rights. And such a thing will come from up. When our leaders elected, will now move from transactional politics to what? Transformational politics. I hope you get my point now.
I do.
When our elected leaders, will now move from transactional politics, ignited by mercantile politics, to transformational politics, where our leaders now think of the welfare of the people, of those who elected them, where it is due. Because in most cases, you see that people who didn't elect such leaders, that they brought it by themselves. Of course, you know that. That is the problem we have in Nigeria for now. And this is the thing. So let us continue through the media and other channels, civil society, if they are working, to be able to conscientize our people, the citizenry, so that they become aware. The more they become aware, the more they now start to demand for accountability and then even transparency. So for now, we go the look, or as you normally say, she don't the look.
Well, I don't really think that that situation would apply to Anambra State. Why am I saying that? Anambra State is a state that is unique in so many ways. And I am shocked to understand that politics is being reduced to one word: money. I would have expected that when INEC announced the calendar for the elections that will take place in November this year, that a lot of enlightenment would have gone on in Anambra to enlighten the people, whether you're a stakeholder or you're a structure owner, about the need for us to have an election that will bring out the best so that the welfare of the people will be taken care of. But you are on ground, and being on the ground means a whole lot. However, I still wonder why a state like Anambra is enlightened, has money. Some people claim that Anambra is the only state in Nigeria where some people are richer than the government. Yet, money buys vote. Money appears to be what skews people to vote for party A, B, or C. And from our conversation, it does appear that we cannot turn it around. And I'm wondering why.
Well, I'm surprised of you are wondering like Alice in Wonderland. If you be able to explain the reality on the ground, you will see that it's a historical development. Historical development is that, as you normally say, that Rome was not built a day. These structures or stakeholders were led earlier than now. It continues to evolve over time until this age. And somebody predicted the other day that it will even go higher. It's not only in politics. How do you measure social life in Anambra State or in the South? By the amount of money you get to control, the amount of donation you'll be able to give to the churches, their community, even to make the traditional ruler even the president of their town. You need to have that money. Or if you don't have that money, somebody has to sponsor you. And that is where you now say the structure. The money bag has already has its money and wants to push somebody. This is what you do for me. And when he takes over, he tries to recoup his investment. And let me be frank with you. We're expecting that it will be stopped now. May not be practicable, may not be visible, may not be realistic. In the sense that it has gained the ground and even gaining momentum over time. Of course, if you watch out what is the outcome of this coming election, November 8th election in Anambra State, you will see the incidence of vote buying with the higher than incidence of vote buying in the past. I'm not a prophet of doom. There may be some rascalities in the political culture if you are not careful. And that's what we share of most of these politicians. Because most of the people that were now entered into the politics, we do it do or die. It's no longer this, my friend, politics without bitterness. What was his name that time? Politics without bitterness. This time, it's politics with the bitterness. You defeated me the other time. This time, I will defeat you. I will gather all my arsenals and then be able to fight you. And politics becomes a fight now instead of a game of mutual understanding, mutual benefit. And that's what we have lacked. There's no longer mutual understanding and mutual benefit. And that's why if somebody clings to power, they start to do what? To be able to appropriate the opportunities of political structures to be able to do what? To sustain him in power. So we pray, but prayer without good work may not work. So there is need also for civil society organization, the media as we are doing, to be able to conscientize the electorate. Of course, if you continue to conscientize a hungry electorate, they will say, let me eat first. Let my belly food first before you tell me of moral, of conscience, of doing the right thing, of not selling my good. And that is what I said earlier, that people have reduced to the level of begging. The issue of giving them palliatives, no matter the dimension you see it, no matter the nomenclature you have given it. So I think that is the general situation on the ground. Very pathetic, but however, we continue to move forward.
Okay, so now let's look at the three candidates that are ready, representing ABGA, APC, and LP. And looking at some of the things they've said they will do after winning the party primaries. We're talking of the incumbent, CHUKWUKELU, and the others.
Hello?
Hello,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
Okay. Well, for now, we have three major contending candidate. Of course, I think PDP is in our own primary today. So, Governor Soludo, CFR, is an incumbent. I believe, and I'm looking forward for him to use all his powers as an incumbent. In most cases, it may be difficult, but it can happen. What happened in Edo teaches you that you can defeat an incumbent. And even what happened in the Nigerian general election of Jonathan and Buhari at that time, you can defeat a sitting governor or president. So, for Governor Soludo, he has all the power, both financially and then both even by the appointments he is given, because those people are going to work in their various communities and fields. And then he's a one-time PDP member before he shifted to Abuja. If you analyze the situation in Anambra State now, you will now see that it is the offspring of PDP that have scattered into the various political parties to struggling to gain power. More than PDP, from PDP to APC, and APC to Labour Party. Look at CHUKWUKELU from PDP now to APC. But if you evaluate all of them together, you see that they all belong to the same mother with a different father. You know, too. Answering different names. And especially two of them are so much with money with wealth and influence and affluence, because most of them they have financiers. Do you think of CHUKWUKELU, businessman, one-time, two-time member of House of Representatives, who has gathered money? And you know what this election party primaries in Anambra State taught us is that it has returned the Anambra politics to the zoning system already created. And what the party on the ground, in the ruling party, is struggling is to complete the 8 years they normally do. And the other people are now saying, no, doing as much as we don't believe in zoning, but you see the way they anchored it, that somebody from the south will now win and challenge somebody from the south. Three of them now from the south, Anambra south. It's not true. And then they will now try to balkanize their various political votes from their own territory. Now, where we are looking at again is that if you look at who emerges as their deputy governors. Of course, Sonora had announced the continuity with his where will the APC CHUKWUKELU pick his deputy? Because it's very important. He picks from the politically minority area. You may not get the winning vote. The same thing with what do you call it, Mwagalo. My own calculation, all of them will now move down to Anambra Central to take their what do you call it, their
running mates,
their deputies. And if they do so, it means that the zoning continues. And there are people who are expecting, predicting, that if they pick somebody like this, they will now wage a very serious war with the incumbent. And that is where you now bring in what we earlier expected, the political structure. There are 1, 2, 3 people that have the existing political structure in Anambra State. And there are those of them who have less. And immediately somebody picks such people, they will increase their potentiality to win an election. And that is the angle we are looking at. Where the balance right becomes a winning point. Money will play also, but where do you pick your deputy matters now at this point in time.
Thank you very much, very, very much, Dennis Ekemezie, for your analysis. It's thought-provoking, and it has opened my eyes to so many other things happening on the ground.
On the ground now.
Yes, that's why you're on the ground. And I think we'll continue these conversations because as we march towards November 8th, we'll have more facts, more data, and this conversation would always be on our lips so that we can be parts of those who are calling for a change and see if the November election will bring the change. Change in the type of politics that is being played, not only in Anambra, but all over Nigeria. So, Dennis, I have to let you go now. Thank you very much for making my day
Thank you,
today.
but always remember that change can be positive or negative.
I prefer positive change.
So while we look onto positive change, we also not ignore the negative change that is bringing.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dennis. We're
It's
taking a short
Thank
break.
you for your invitation.
And
Thank
when
you.
we return, we'll be taking you to Abia State. Stay with us.
Thank you.